The first snowflake hits the cafe window like a warning sign, small and sharp, and very much out of place. Olivia Hart stares at it, spatula in one hand, piping bag in the other, and mutters, "You have got to be kidding me." Outside on the Lower East Side, New York is supposed to be doing its usual Christmas Eve performance, all slush and honking taxis and tourists in ugly sweaters. Not this thick, swirling snowfall that is suddenly eating the streetlights whole. Inside, the warmth of her tiny French dessert shop feels almost fake, a movie set where the main character is currently losing her mind. Her phone buzzes on the counter for the 100th time. "Remember, sweetheart, 8 o'clock sharp," her mother says over video call, for the 4th time today. Olivia props the phone against the espresso machine, forcing a bright smile, as she smears raspberry filling onto a row of sponge cakes. "I remember," she says. "You will introduce us to your boyfriend." Her dad calls from somewhere off screen. "Fake boyfriend," Olivia corrects under her breath. "What was that?" her mom asks. "Perfect boyfriend," Olivia says louder. She ends the call with a sigh, then glances toward the back of the shop where the door to the staff quarter stands half open. Beyond it is the narrow hallway that leads to the shared stairwell, and up those stairs lives a problem in human form. Ethan Cole. He is her upstairs neighbor, her daily annoyance, the man who complains if she bakes past midnight, and claims he can hear her mixer through the floorboards. He is also the only one who answered her anonymous ad in the building group chat yesterday. Wanted temporary boyfriend, 1 night only, must be able to smile at parents on FaceTime, and pretend to adore French desserts, $100 per hour, cash. She offered a lower rate at first, then panicked and added a bonus. The first reply came from an anonymous account with only a simple line, "I will do it." She almost turned it down. Then her mom sent another message with a photo of a perfectly dressed son of her parents' friends, the latest candidate they wanted to introduce her to, and Olivia cracked. Now it is 6:30 p.m. and she has exactly 90 minutes before her parents call again and demand to meet the mysterious boyfriend she invented 3 months ago to stop the endless blind dates. She wipes her hands on her apron and checks the time again. "Where is he?" she mutters. The bell above the front door jingles at that exact moment. Cold air rushes in first, then Ethan, shrugging snow off his dark coat as if the storm outside is just a mild inconvenience. His black hair is damp, curled at the ends, his jaw shadowed with stubble, and he is wearing the one thing that makes her brain short-circuit. A suit, or something close to it. The blazer is clearly new, a little too tight across his shoulders, the white shirt open at the throat, the tie missing like he did not bother to finish the look. He holds a garment bag in one hand and a paper bag from the fancy deli on the corner in the other. "This is a terrible idea," he says by way of greeting. Olivia narrows her eyes. "You are late." "It is 6:30, he says. "You said 7. "I said 6:30 to get ready, 7 for the call. Do you even read texts with your eyes, or just with your ego?" He ignores her, scanning the shop with a quick, assessing gaze that she has seen before when he eats anything. Ethan is a critic, not on paper, but in the way his mouth tilts whenever she offers him new pastries for feedback. He never pays for them, either. He just leans on the counter, takes a bite, and gives her a slow nod, or a quiet correction. Tonight he does not comment on the macarons or the entremets in the chilled display. He just walks past the counter and sets the garment bag on a chair. "When do your parents call?" he asks. "In an hour," she says. "And I am supposed to be your boyfriend," he says. "Fiancé," she corrects. He freezes. "You upgraded me without asking." "They upgraded us," she says quickly. "My mom asked if we were serious." I panicked. He closes his eyes, takes a breath, then opens them again with that flat, exasperated look that somehow never scares her. "The rate changed," he says. She throws her hands up. "You are literally my neighbor, and this is pretending to be in love, not performing brain surgery. You want me to lie to your parents about marriage," he says. "On Christmas Eve, while the city is turning into a snow globe from hell. That is at least hazard pay." Before she can snap back, the lights flicker. Once, twice, then the whole shop goes dark. The humming of the refrigerated cases dies. The espresso machine clicks off mid-cycle. The only light left is the weak gray wash from the window, already fading as the snow thickens outside. Olivia stares at the ceiling. No, 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 no. Ethan moves first, pulling his phone from his pocket and turning on the flashlight app. The beam sweeps across the shop, catching the glitter of sugar dust, the rows of cakes, the panic on Olivia's face. The bell above the door chimes again, this time a shaky, rapid tap. Lena, the young woman from the third floor, stands there hugging a small first aid kit to her chest. Her dark hair is in a messy braid, snow melting on her coat, eyes wide. She does not speak, just signs quickly with one hand while balancing the kit. Power, she signs. No lights. Behind her, Dr. Alex Reed, the pediatrician from the 6th floor, appears. His hospital scrubs have hidden under a thick jacket, stethoscope still hooked around his neck. You lost power too? He asks. Seems like the whole block. Ethan says. Olivia's phone vibrates in her pocket, a high-pitched emergency tone interrupting the heavy silence. She fumbles it out with cold fingers and swipes open the alert. A monotone robotic voice fills the dark shop. Emergency broadcast. A severe blizzard warning is now in effect for all 5 boroughs. All public transit and flights are suspended. Road closures are being enforced. Residents are advised to remain indoors. Power outages may occur. Please conserve resources and avoid unnecessary travel. The message repeats in text on the screen, bold letters swimming in front of her eyes. Flights are suspended. Her stomach drops. Wait, she says. If flights are suspended. She looks at the clock again, at the travel time she built into her mental schedule, the way she planned every minute of this night to avoid chaos. Upstairs, a muffled metallic groan cuts through the air, followed by a sharp, echoing clang. Then a scream. Olivia drops the phone. Ethan is already moving. That sounded like the elevator, he says. Alex nods, face tightening. On it. Lena hurries after him, first aid kit clutched in both hands. Olivia shoots one last glance at the dark ovens, the silent fridge, the neat rows of desserts that might not survive an extended outage. Then she races for the back door, following the rising sound of panicked voices. The stairwell is dim, emergency lights flickering. On the 4th floor, a dozen neighbors cluster in front of the elevator, some in pajamas, some in holiday sweaters, all talking over one another. Someone is stuck. Mrs. Ramirez from 4B says, wringing her hands. They have been in there for 10 minutes. Her teenage son adds. From behind the closed elevator doors comes a thunk, then a breathless curse. Of course it is blocked. A woman snaps. Of course it breaks on Christmas Eve. Classic. Olivia recognizes that voice. Claire Bennett. The divorce attorney from 5A who wears power suits, carries 3 phones, and never smiles in the hallway. Claire. Alex calls. Who is with you? Thomas. She says through the door, and the way she says his name makes even Olivia feel the crackle of frustration. Of course it is Thomas. A male voice answers, calm and maddeningly amused. You make it sound like I broke the whole building just by stepping inside. You probably did. Claire says. Olivia looks up and down the stairwell. More doors open. More neighbors step out, drawn by the commotion and the emergency lights. On the ground floor, she hears the metal gate of the building entrance being pulled down. Marcus, the super, yells up the stairwell in his thick Queen's accent. Listen up, people. He shouts. The city just called. Streets are shutting down, and the power company cannot promise when the lights will be back. This building is officially on lockdown until further notice. No one leaves unless it is a medical emergency. A chill runs through the air that has nothing to do with the cold. Olivia presses back against the wall as everyone starts talking at once. But I have a flight. Someone says. My shift at the hospital. Another voice protests. I am supposed to meet someone. A girl says softly, clutching her phone with both hands. Olivia glances down and sees Mia from 2C, tiny and bundled in an oversized scarf, eyes shiny with unshed tears. He said he would be at the cafe on the corner at 7. Mia whispers to no one in particular. We were finally going to meet in person. Olivia looks at Ethan. He looks back. In that split second, something shifts. This is no longer about a fake fiancé or a staged video call. This is about a whole building full of people trapped together in a snowstorm that has just turned Christmas Eve into something relentless and unknown. Above them, Claire slams a hand against the elevator wall. I swear, she says, her voice cracking between fury and something softer. If this building tries to force me to spend Christmas Eve with my ex-husband, I am suing the weather itself. Thomas laughs, the sound oddly warm even through the metal door. Come on, he says. If the universe went to this much trouble to lock us in a box together, maybe it is trying to tell you something. The elevator jolts again, then goes still. Somewhere in the hall, a mechanical voice finally speaks. Power failure. It says. Please remain calm. Assistance is on the way. But there is no assistance coming. Only the howl of the wind outside, the faint glow of emergency lights, and the buzzing realization that they are going to ride out the worst blizzard in years together, whether they like it or not. By the time Olivia and Ethan make it back down to the cafe, the temperature has dropped enough that her breath fogs even inside. Marcus has passed out extra blankets from the storage closet. Someone dragged a generator into the basement and coaxed it to life, enough to power the emergency lights and one outlet at a time. The whole building feels like a campsite layered on top of a city skeleton. Olivia stands in the middle of her darkened shop, staring at the silent ovens and the trays of Christmas cakes that will soon be ruined. "This is a nightmare," she says. Ethan moves behind the counter, the flashlight in his phone resting against an empty mug, casting an upward glow on his face. "It is salvageable," he says. "You say that about everything," she mutters. "It is a professional flaw," he says dryly. He flips open the garment bag and pulls out a different blazer, this one perfectly tailored and definitely not cheap. The shirt underneath is crisp, the cuff links small and discreet, the kind you only see on men who spend real money on details. Olivia frowns. "That is not the suit I bought. I brought my own," he says. "The one you got was deeply offensive. You could have told me before I paid for it," she says. "I thought I was doing you a favor." He shrugs. "You wanted a fake fiancé. You did not specify his wardrobe source." She watches him as he rolls his shoulders, settling the blazer into place. The fit changes everything, sharpening the easy lines of his body into something more formal, more dangerous. In this light, with his hair still damp from the snow and his jaw set, he does not look like the rude neighbor who complains about her mixer. He looks like someone who belongs in a glossy magazine spread. Her stomach does a weird flip. She ignores it. "This does not mean your rate went up," she says. "It absolutely did," he replies. "At least symbolically." She wants to argue, but her phone buzzes again, this time with a familiar ringtone. Her mother. Olivia swallows. "It is time," she says. Ethan steps closer. His cologne is warm and subtle, something with spice and citrus, nothing like the generic body sprays of the guys she used to date in college. He takes the phone from her hand and angles it so both their faces are in frame. "Ready?" he murmurs. "No," she says. He hits accept anyway. Her parents appear on the screen, framed by their living room in Florida, the artificial tree behind them smothered in ornaments. "Sweetheart," her mom says. "There you are. We were so worried about the storm. Are you all right? Is the building safe?" "We are fine," Olivia says. "Power is out, but we have blankets and candles and this guy." She leans into Ethan just a little. He wraps an arm around her shoulders, like he has done it 100 times before. "Hello, Emma and Mrs. Hart," he says, his voice smooth and polite. "I am Ethan." Her mother gasps. Her father adjusts his glasses. "Oh," her mom says, hand flying to her chest. "He is handsome. Good bone structure." Her dad adds, nodding. Olivia chokes on a laugh. Ethan squeezes her shoulder once, a small warning. "So," her mother says. "Ethan, what do you do?" Olivia opens her mouth, ready to launch into the safe lie they rehearsed yesterday. Freelance consultant, stable hours, nothing scary. Ethan beats her to it. "I am a chef," he says. "A what?" her mother asks. "A chef," he repeats. "I work in a kitchen." Olivia feels her heart drop straight to her shoes. She glares up at him. He ignores her, still smiling at the screen. "A chef," her dad repeats. "Like in a restaurant?" "Yes, sir," Ethan says. "I am executive chef at a small place uptown. We focus on seasonal tasting menus." Olivia hears her mother sucking in a shocked breath. "Seasonal," she repeats faintly. "Tasting." Her dad looks at Olivia. "You told us he was a marketing consultant," he says. "That was before we were official." Ethan says smoothly. "I wanted to make sure this relationship was real before we involved family in the messy details of the restaurant world. The hours are long. The pay is variable." Her mother blinks. "Variable does not sound reassuring," she says. Ethan smiles. "But your daughter is extraordinary," he says. "She runs this dessert shop by herself. She knows how to make people line up in the cold for her pastries. She is tougher than anyone I know. When I realized I wanted to marry her, I decided I needed to be honest about who I am." Olivia forgets, for a second, that this is all fake. The way he says marry, the way his arm tightens around her shoulders, the way his voice softens on the word extraordinary, it all feels terrifyingly real. Her parents are silent. Then her mother bursts into tears. "Oh my God," she says. "He wants to marry her." Her father clears his throat. "Have you set a date?" he asks. Olivia gapes. "Ethan," she hisses, barely moving her lips. "Do not you dare." "Not yet," Ethan says. "We are waiting until after the holidays to talk about it. Right now we are just trying to make it through this storm." Her mother sniffles, wiping her eyes. "We will come up after New Year," she says. "We want to meet you in person, and see the shop, and help with the wedding." "Oh, sweetheart, I am so happy for you." Olivia forces a smile, her brain imploding. "Sure, Mom," she says. "We will talk about it." They end the call eventually, after her mother has shown Ethan the family dog and threatened to send baby photos. Olivia hangs up with shaking fingers and turns on him. "What was that?" she demands. "A performance," he says calmly. "You wanted believable. Parents like specifics." "You told them you want to marry me," she says. "I told them I decided I wanted to," he corrects. "There is a difference." "There is no difference," she says. "Now they are going to come here. They are going to expect decorations and invitations and a dress and a fiancé who does not actually exist." His expression changes then, the easy confidence thinning into something rawer. "Who says he does not exist?" he asks quietly. She blinks. "What?" He studies her, eyes dark in the dim light. "You think I offered to be your fake boyfriend just for the cash?" he says. "You think I have been rewriting your recipes, and fixing your wiring, and dropping off coffee every time you work past midnight because I hate you?" She opens her mouth, then closes it. "I thought you were just nosy," she says. "And controlling." He laughs, a short, disbelieving sound. "Olivia," he says. "I have been in love with you since the first time you yelled at a supplier on the phone for sending me subpar chocolate. I am a chef. I took that personally." Her heartbeat trips. "No," she says on reflex. He raises an eyebrow. "No," he echoes. "There it is," she says, pointing a finger at his chest. "The thing. You do not take anything seriously. You tease me. You correct my sugar ratios. You steal my croissants. I pay in advice," he says. "And free repairs. And now an emotional trauma," she mutters. He takes a step closer. "We are stuck in this building for who knows how long," he says. "The city is shut down. Your parents think we are engaged. Maybe this is not the worst time to admit that I am not pretending when I put my arm around you." A faint cough at the door makes them both jump. Maggie from 4F stands there, coat half buttoned, cheeks flushed from the cold, her teenage daughter Zoe hovering behind her, arms crossed. "Sorry," Maggie says. "The super said we could come down here to warm up. Our apartment is freezing." Olivia feels her face burn. She steps away from Ethan, straightening her apron. "Of course," she says, forcing a smile. "Come in. We have blankets. And tea, if the kettle behaves." Ethan moves behind the counter again, the moment shattered, but not gone. He flashes Zoe a quick grin. "You look like you might pass out," he says. "You okay?" Zoe shrugs, but her skin is pale, eyes glassy. "I am fine," she says. Her voice wobbles. "Just a little cold." Alex appears right behind them, as if summoned by the word fine. He presses a hand to Zoe's forehead. "She is burning up," he says. He looks at Olivia. "Can we use the back room? Somewhere warmer and quieter?" "Of course," Olivia says. As they move, she catches Maggie's expression, the guilt and fear tangled together. "I told her she could not go to that concert across town tonight," Maggie says in a rush. "She told me I do not understand anything about her life. We were still fighting when the lights went out, and now she is sick, and I do not even know if her idol made it into the city." Her voice breaks. Olivia glances at Ethan, then at the growing crowd outside on the sidewalk. Snow piles high against the dark windows. The world beyond them is gone, erased by white. Inside, 70-odd neighbors are huddling in the stairwell and hallways, strangers tied together by a shared address and a suddenly fragile set of circumstances. The fake engagement, the secret crush, the old grudges, all of it shrinks under the weight of what is happening. Still, when Ethan brushes past her to plug the generator into a new outlet, his hand grazes her waist. It is the lightest touch. It sets her nerves on fire. Claire Bennett has won more impossible cases than she can count, but at this exact second, she is losing a wrestling match with gravity and a steel box. The elevator shudders, then drops half a foot with a sickening lurch. Claire slams her hands against the wall, heart battering her ribs. Absolutely not. She says. Absolutely not. Across from her, Thomas Hayes calmly plants his feet wider, one hand braced on the handrail, the other holding the bouquet that now looks like a crime scene. Red roses lie crushed at his feet, petals scattered like small explosions on the linoleum. Remember when you told me I had a flair for the dramatic? He asks. This might top any stunt I could design. She glares at him. This is not a stunt, she says. This is negligence, unsafe maintenance. I am going to sue this building into the Stone Age. Claire, he says. Please do not threaten litigation while we are suspended in midair. She jabs the emergency button again, even though the pre-recorded voice has already told them help is on the way in 3 different monotone phrases. For legal reasons, I will threaten whatever I want, she says. He sighs, then sets the slightly mangled bouquet on the floor. In case you are wondering, he says. I was not planning on proposing in a failing elevator. She snorts. I am not wondering. She lies. You lost the right to surprise me 3 years ago. 3 years since the divorce. 2 since the last time she saw him in person. 0 seconds since her pulse started doing that stupid thing again as soon as the elevator doors closed and he stepped in, carrying roses, and wearing the navy coat she has always secretly liked on him. What are you doing back in New York? She asks. She keeps her voice cool, detached, the way she talks to opposing counsel. He leans his head back against the wall. His hair is longer than she remembers, a little messy, like he has been running his hands through it. I moved back, he says. Last month. Her stomach clenches. Why? She asks. We agreed the West Coast suited you better. You decided that, he says. You also decided that my job came before you, that my late nights and early mornings were proof that I did not care. She stiffens. I never said that, she says. You did not have to, he says quietly. You just packed a bag and moved out while I was on a site visit. Left the papers on the kitchen counter. Very on brand. Efficient. Clean. She stares at the emergency panel, refusing to look at him. I left because I was tired of being married to someone who was never home, she says. Tired of eating dinner alone. Tired of you missing my court dates and family events and every holiday that mattered. I was building us a future, he says. That was the whole point of the firm in San Francisco. I do not care about square footage more than I care about actual presence. She snaps. Silence settles between them, thick and heavy. The elevator creaks again. I moved back because I realized I would rather be in a tiny apartment near you than in a penthouse across the country without you, he says softly. I took a position with a firm here. I found a project that does not require constant travel. I bought a house with a backyard big enough for the dog you always wanted. I did all of that before I even knew if you might take a call from me, because I had to prove to myself I meant it. She swallows. You bought a house, she repeats. A real house. 3-bedroom. He says. South Brooklyn, big windows, a kitchen island with the exact stone you pinned in that late-night mood board 4 years ago. Her throat tightens. You remembered that? She asks. I remember everything, he says. Your favorite takeout order. The way you hum when you work through trial strategy. The fact that you always leave one bite of dessert on your plate like an act of restraint. I remember the look on your face when I missed your sister's wedding. That one keeps me up. She closes her eyes. You chose work, she says. Every time. I chose fear, he says. I was scared of failing you. I thought if I did not get the career part perfectly stable, everything else would collapse. I did not understand that by overbuilding one side, I was already making the whole thing tilt. The elevator is quiet except for the faint hum of emergency power. Outside, the storm howls past the shaft. You are using architecture metaphors, she says, opening her eyes. You must be serious. He smiles weakly. I am serious, he says. This storm is insane. The whole city is stopping. I am stuck in a metal box with my ex-wife. If this is not a cosmic intervention, I do not know what is. Do not bring the cosmos into this, she says, but her voice lacks its usual bite. He nudges the bouquet toward her with his shoe. I was coming to see you, he says. I even told Marcus. I asked him not to buzz me up so I could surprise you on the landing. I was going to knock on your door, hand you these, and say something stupid like, "Hi, I moved back and I am still in love with you." Her chest aches. In what world would that work? She asks. In the world where you still wear your ring on a chain under your blouse, he says quietly. Her hand flies to her collarbone. The chain is hidden, tucked under silk, but he sees the movement anyway. Heat rushes to her cheeks. I told myself it was just a habit, she says. A legal talisman. Lawyers do not need talismans. He says. We need evidence. And I am offering you mine. I changed my job. I changed my address. I am ready to change my priorities. I cannot change what I did before, but I can spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to you, if you let me. The elevator jerks suddenly. They both grab the rail. A moment later, the car lurches down half a floor, then stops with a groan. Damn it. Claire whispers. Thomas reaches across the space and takes her hand. His palm is warm, his fingers familiar. If this thing plummets, I am suing the building with you, he says. Joint plaintiffs. A small, unwilling laugh escapes her. You always did know how to write a good closing line, she says. He squeezes her hand. You taught me, he says. She looks at him finally, really looks. The lines around his eyes are deeper. He looks a little tired, a little hopeful, very much like the man she fell in love with at 26. If we get out of here alive, she says slowly. You are taking me to see this mythical house. He grins. I will even sign the closing documents in front of you, he says. No secrets. The elevator shudders one more time. Then, with a reluctant sigh, it begins to move. As the doors slide open on the lobby level, Claire steps out first. A cluster of neighbors cheer. Marcus throws his hands up. I told you I had it, he says. Thomas follows, roses in hand, eyes never leaving her face. She feels the whole building watching. For once, she lets them. Everyone calm down, she says. It is just structural assessment. Then she grabs Thomas by the lapels and kisses him like she is cross-examining him and giving him a second chance at the same time. Somewhere above them, kids hoop. Someone whistles. Olivia claps from the cafe doorway, eyes wide and shining. For the first time in a long time, Claire does not care who sees her vulnerable. The storm outside may be chaos, but inside this old building, something solid is quietly rebuilding itself. Mia Lin has made a career out of drawing other people's dreams, but tonight she cannot even see her own front door. The snow against the lobby windows is so thick it looks like someone shook a giant pillow over Manhattan. She presses her nose to the glass anyway, her sketchbook hugged to her chest. He was supposed to be there, 7 o'clock, at the cafe on the corner. He said he would be wearing a navy scarf and holding a copy of her favorite graphic novel. Her British pen pal, her almost something, Snow Fox, real name unknown. Stop calling him your almost something, she mutters to herself. You are 24. You should be above this level of drama. She is not above it. Her stomach has been in knots all afternoon. Her phone pings again with a new message, bouncing across the screen. Delayed at airport. Storm is insane. Will try to get out soon. She types with fast, frozen fingers. Airport is shut down. City is on lockdown. Our building is turning into a snow bunker. He replies almost instantly. Of course, the one time I fly to New York it turns into Hoth. She snorts, then wipes away a tear. A shadow looms in the white blur outside. She squints. For a second she sees nothing. Then the shape solidifies into a tall figure pushing against the wind, his coat flapping, his head bent. He stops right in front of the building, snow swirling around him like some dramatic movie scene. He drops the duffel bag at his feet and looks up at the window where she stands. His hair is a mess of gold and snow. A navy scarf wraps around his neck. Under one arm he holds a book. Her book. The graphic novel she published with a small indie press last year, the one only a few thousand people bought. He grins at her through the glass and lifts the book in a half salute. She freezes. He cannot be. She fumbles with the lobby door, struggling with the heavy lock until Marcus appears from behind the security desk and unlocks it with a sigh. Do not let all the heat out, he grumbles. There is no heat, Mia says, bursting out into the storm. Snow slaps her cheeks. The wind tries to rip the sketchbook from her hands. He stands 6 feet away, coat dusted in white, eyes bright. Mia, he calls over the howl. His accent is unmistakable. British, warm, the same voice that has narrated her voicemails for months. She laughs, a wild sound. You actually came, she says. Airports are closed. The city is shut down. How did you even get here? Long story, he says. Short answer, I am very stubborn and possibly reckless. He holds the book out. Will you sign this for me first, before you yell at me? She steps closer, blinking snow from her lashes. This is insane, she says. This is a horror movie setup. I do not even know your real name. He hesitates, then smiles. I was saving that for in person. he says. I am William Ashford, but you can keep calling me Snowfox if you want. Her brain short-circuits. Ashford. She repeats. As in the Ashford family? Please do not Google while I am standing here, he says wryly. I was hoping to delay the whole titled nonsense for at least one day. You are a lord, she says, half laughing, half horrified. You are literally a lord. Technically, he says. But I promise the most pretentious thing about me is my tea collection. Lightning strikes in her chest. I drew you with fox ears, she blurts. In all my comics. You told me you were an intern in a London bookstore. His grin widens. I am part owner of said bookstore, he admits. It counts. She swats his arm. You lied, she says, though there is no real heat in it. I omitted, he says. For survival, people get weird when they hear the word lord. I wanted to know if you liked me for my jokes and my terrible drawing skills, not my family tree. He shifts, suddenly serious. But I did not lie about the important thing. I am in love with your brain, your art, and your habit of texting me photos of your breakfast when you are anxious. I flew across an ocean to tell you that in person, in your favorite city, in your favorite season. Snowflakes cling to his eyelashes. He looks ridiculous and unfairly beautiful. She shakes her head, laughing through fresh tears. This building is on lockdown, she says. You are not supposed to be out here. Then I guess we are stuck together, he says. Seems like a terrible hardship. She looks back at the warm, crowded lobby where neighbors are huddled around thermoses and lanterns. Upstairs, she knows Olivia is probably stress baking over candles. Somewhere in the building, someone is playing carols on a battery-powered speaker. The world outside is chaos. Inside, there is room, if she lets there be. She shoves the sketchbook under her arm, grabs the front of his coat, and pulls him toward the door. Come on, Lord Snowfox, she says. Let us see if New York approves of you. New York is a harsh critic, he says, following her. So are you. Exactly, she says. Consider this your final exam. On the third floor, in the small apartment that smells like tea and old books, Lena Chen watches the candle flame flicker. The old professor snores softly in his recliner, a plaid blanket tugged up to his chin. Outside, the wind rattles the window. Her hands tremble as she checks his pulse. Steady. Strong. Relief loosens something in her chest. She adjusts the oxygen tube and tucks the blanket tighter. The professor has outlived 3 sets of tenants and 2 rounds of building renovations. He calls himself the building's curator. Sometimes, when he forgets her name, he still remembers the apartment numbers of everyone who once lived here. She loves him for that. Her phone buzzes with a message. The hospital is understaffed. Alex might not make it back tonight. Her stomach dips, then steadies. She is not his priority, she reminds herself. She is just the silent girl who takes care of his favorite patient. She stands and stretches her cramped fingers. Her reflection in the dark window is faint, a ghost version of herself. She lifts her hands and signs at her own face. Stop being dramatic. You are doing fine. A soft knock at the door makes her jump. She moves quickly, not wanting the sound to wake the professor. When she opens the door, Alex is there, hair disheveled, cheeks flushed from the cold, stethoscope peeking out of his coat pocket. He holds up a paper bag. I brought soup, he whispers. Relief floods her so quickly she has to grip the doorknob. She steps aside, letting him in. He toes off his boots and moves through the familiar space like he belongs here, setting the bag on the small table, checking the professor without being asked. Still stable, he murmurs. Storm like this is rough on older lungs. She nods, fingers twitching with the urge to ask 1,000 questions. He straightens and looks at her. You okay? He asks. She lifts her hands. She signs slow, so he can follow. I am okay. He grins. His signing is clumsy but improving. He signs back. You are more than okay. His fingers make the wrong shape for more, and the sentence turns into something like you are lemon okay. She snorts softly. He laughs, catching his error. I meant amazing. He whispers. I will get it right eventually. She pulls out her phone, thumbs flying over the screen. You should be at the hospital, she types. He reads it and shakes his head. They sent half of us home, he says. No way to get ambulances through the streets. I live 2 blocks away. This was on the way. Her chest warms. On the way. He chose this place before his own apartment. He starts unpacking the bag. Soup, bread, a thermos of something that smells like hot chocolate. He pours 2 mugs and hands her one. As their fingers brush, something thick and electric passes between them. She looks away. All the words she has never said crowd her throat, useless without sound. She has known for months that she likes him. It started with small things. The way he explained every procedure to the professor, even when the older man was too sleepy to understand. The way he always made sure Lena stood on the inside of the sidewalk, away from traffic. The way he learned to write his instructions in big, clear letters and leave them on the fridge. It grew with every shared late night, every shared joke via sticky note. Now, with the city frozen and the world condensed to this warm room, the feeling is too big to push down. She sets her mug on the table. He watches her, brows drawing together. Lena? He asks. She takes a deep breath. Her hands shake. She signs. I like you. His eyes widen. She repeats it, slower, more deliberate. I like you. The world narrows to his face, the way his mouth falls open for a second, then curves. He lifts his own hands. He answers in her language. I know. Her breath catches. He signs again, fumbling less this time. I like you. I like your hands. I like you're brave. He stops, thinking. Then he laughs softly and shakes his head. I need more vocabulary. He says. Hang on. He pulls his phone from his pocket and opens a notes app. He types quickly, then turns the screen to her. The words are simple. I am in love with you. I have been for a while. I did not want you to feel pressured, because I am the doctor, and you are the caregiver, so I waited, and I tried to learn how to say it in your language. Her vision blurs. She reaches out, tracing the words on the screen with a fingertip. When she looks up, he is watching her like she is the only clear thing in this snow-smudged world. She lifts her hands again. Teach me. She signs. He frowns, confused. Teach you what? She taps his chest lightly, then mimics his earlier hand shapes. Teach me how to say your name the way you like to hear it. He catches on. He takes her hands, gently adjusting her fingers, showing her the sign he likes for Alex, twisting it into a little joke about his messy hair. She laughs silently. He leans in, forehead almost touching hers. In the recliner, the professor snores on. The candle flickers low. When Alex finally kisses her, it is as soft as a whispered apology, and as steady as a heartbeat. She feels the shape of it more than the sound, but it is enough. More than enough. By Christmas morning, the storm has spent most of its fury. The sky outside the building is a pale, washed-out blue. Snow heaps on the fire escapes like frosting on a crooked cake. Inside, the building smells like bread and coffee, and something sweet Olivia will never admit is Ethan's secret recipe. She watches him pull a tray of improvised cinnamon rolls out of the oven connected to the generator. They are not perfect. The dough rose too slowly in the cold kitchen. The glaze is thinner than she likes. They are, annoyingly, excellent anyway. Her parents call again, crying about how the news showed footage of the storm, and how their future son-in-law is a hero for staying with her. Ethan takes the praise with a humble smile, and a wink at Olivia that makes her stomach swoop. Mia and William sit at a small table, sharing a sketchbook, and arguing about the correct way to draw a snow fox. Claire and Thomas stand near the window, their shoulders brushing, debating which neighborhood has better bagel shops as if they did not almost break apart forever. Maggie and Zoe sit on the floor with a stack of vinyl records between them, headphones split, heads bent together in a peace treaty of shared sound. Lena leans against the counter, Alex at her side, their shoulders touching. Every so often their hands slide together, pinkies hooking. The building feels different. Warmer, somehow, even with the power still rationed. Marcus clears his throat near the door. All right, everyone, he says. Gather round. We have a special visitor. Olivia raises an eyebrow. If this is another speech about conserving water, I am walking out. She says. It is Christmas. Marcus says. I am not that cruel. He holds the door open. A woman steps inside, shaking snow from a long wool coat. Her white hair is tucked under a knitted hat. Her eyes are sharp despite the fine lines around them. She carries a small suitcase in one hand and a worn book in the other. The professor appears at the top of the stairs as if pulled by an invisible string. He is in his best sweater, hair combed back, cheeks flushed with effort. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus announces. This is Agnes. The professor grips the banister, knuckles white. Agnes. He repeats. His voice cracks on the name. The woman looks up. For a second, the years fall away. All Olivia sees is two people who once stood in a very different lobby, under very different lights, promising things they were never allowed to keep. You are late, the professor says. It is not an accusation. It is a miracle. She laughs, the sound bright. You told me to meet you here every Christmas if I could get away. she says. I got lost for a few decades. He starts down the stairs. Lena hovers behind him, ready to catch him if he stumbles, but his steps are sure. At the bottom, he stops a foot from Agnes. He lifts a shaking hand and touches the lapel of her coat, as if confirming she is real. I kept your book, he says. He nods at the worn volume in her grip. The one you left on the train. She holds it up. I kept yours, she says. The one you shoved into my hands when the doors closed, like a coward. He smiles. I was shy, he says. You were engaged, she corrects. To someone else. Technicalities, he says. The room is so quiet that Olivia can hear the faint hiss of the generator downstairs. Are we interrupting something? Agnes asks, glancing around at the crowd. A building-wide breakdown. The professor says. He leans closer. And possibly 6 separate love stories. 7. Olivia says before she can stop herself. Ethan bumps her hip. Do not undersell us, he says. Agnes' eyes sparkle. Then I am right on time, she says. I was worried the universe had given up on romantic timing. The professor laughs, a deep, rusty sound that makes Lena smile. I waited here every year, he says. Even after I married someone else. Even after you did. I walked past this building and looked up at the windows and wondered if you were behind one of them, rolling your eyes at my stubbornness. I was busy rolling my eyes at my own, she says. But when my grandson moved to New York last year, he sent me a photo of this building. Something in my chest hurt. So this year I told him to buy me a ticket. I decided if the weather tried to stop me, I would call it fate. But look at that. I made it through the snow. The professor takes her suitcase. You made it, he says. 50 years late, exactly on time. People drift back to their corners as the new pair move toward the couch, still talking in low, excited voices. Olivia leans against the counter, watching. This building is ridiculous, she says. In the best way. Ethan replies. He wipes a streak of flour from her cheek with his thumb. So, he says. About what I said last night. Her heart stutters. She looks up at him. You said a lot of things, she says lightly. You will have to be more specific. He rolls his eyes. I am in love with you, he says. There, again, clear enough. Her breath catches. Around them, the building hums with the sounds of people choosing each other, in big ways and small. Olivia thinks of the storm, of the falling snow, of the way the world narrowed to these walls and these faces. She thinks of the way Ethan fixed her wiring without being asked, how he knows exactly how to adjust her oven, how he defended her pastry ratios like they were state secrets. She thinks of the way his arm felt around her during the call, solid and warm and right. Do not say things you cannot take back, she says. I do not plan on taking it back, he replies. Ever. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out something tiny and silver. Her heart jumps. Before you panic, he says quickly. This is not a proposal. I am not insane. I am not asking you to marry me while half the building watches and your parents are waiting for an invitation. He opens his hand. In his palm lies a small silver ring charm, delicate and simple. It is a placeholder, he says. For whatever we decide later. Engagement, partnership, a very dramatic breakup that we turn into a best-selling cookbook. I do not know, but I wanted you to have something from me that is real, not just part of the act. She laughs, tears pricking her eyes. You are ridiculous, she says. You are stubborn. He counters. You are loud. She adds. You are bossy, he says. You correct my grammar, she says. You use espresso as a substitute for sleep, he says. You put salt in my caramel when I am not looking, she says. It improves it, he says. She stares at the little charm. Then she takes it, the metal cool against her skin. I am not ready to plan a wedding, she says. Good, he says. I am barely ready to plan my laundry. But, she says slowly, I am ready to admit that I like the way you look in that stupid tailored blazer, and I like the way you talk about food, and I like the way you told my parents I am extraordinary. You are, he says simply. She threads the charm onto the chain around her neck, right next to the tiny whisk pendant she has worn since culinary school. There, she says. A placeholder. He exhales, shoulders loosening. Does that mean your parents are not going to murder me if they show up early? He asks. They might hug you to death, she says. It is worse. He laughs. She leans up on her toes and kisses him. It is not dramatic. No one yells. No one whistles. The building just keeps on humming around them, the soft, ordinary magic of people in close quarters sharing heat and space and small acts of kindness. Outside, the snowdrifts glitter under the weak winter sun. Inside, in the heart of a city that loves to pretend it is too busy for sentiment, a group of people who were strangers 3 days ago now share cinnamon rolls and stories and the kind of quiet, stubborn hope that feels like the first real gift of the season. Later, much later, when the streets are clear and the power is back and life resumes its frantic rhythm, they will remember this storm. They will remember the way the world shrank to one old building and 6 stories of lives, and how, when the snow fell hardest, they finally stopped long enough to see each other. For now though, as snow falls on New York, and the clock creeps past noon on Christmas Day, it is enough. Love is not a thunderclap, or a perfect movie montage. It is a series of choices made in hallways and stairwells and candlelit kitchens. It is a soup delivery, and a fixed wire, and a snow sculpture in the courtyard. It is a 50-year-old promise kept at last. And on this street, in this building, under this sky of soft blue after the storm, every one of those choices feels, beautifully, like it was always meant to be.
Thanks for watching. Follow for more romance stories.